Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Raid Shadow Legends. And in today's video, I want to talk about Fusion Tier 3 tokens. And what I mean by that is now that, well, for most of us anyways, we have completed the Pelops Fusion event at this point. I'm on my alt account, so that's why, but you should have one Fusion token. So I want to take a look at the Tier 3 list of champions because I don't think I've done a video actually talking about any of these, really. I don't think I really went into big detail about this. Is there any from these tier 3 fusion list of characters? There's a lot, like 34 characters, in fact. Are any of them worth it at all? Are any of them worth potentially? Obviously, we don't know yet because we don't know what the next fusion is, if it's going to be good or bad or whatnot. But would any of these be even worth considering for that? Now, before we get to the rest of the video, I do want to remind people that if you haven't started Raid Shadow Legends yet, what are you waiting for? Get out from under that rock. Download using the QR code in the top right hand of the screen to get Thol and Falbeard absolutely free, Stagnite, Rector Drath, and Farrakhan the Fat at accounts level 10, 20, and 30. Also, don't forget that you can use this promo code to get the Void Legendary support Tanarak for free. Use the promo code Desert Queen in the first 48 hours of a brand new account. Okay, there's a lot of champions here. A lot of them are pretty trash. I think that, you know, really good epics, in fact, can be as good as some of these characters. Yeah, let's start with the top. Gretel Hagbane. DPS champion before my time, was in combination with Hansel Witch Hunter on a previous Valentine's Day event. We have decreased defense now. Things that I'm looking for, honestly, is like utility. I'm looking for buffs. I'm looking for debuffs. Unfortunately, when I'm on this screen, it doesn't actually give me the ratings, because some of these I don't actually know that well. Brugard Jeroboam. Decreased duration of enemy debuffs by 1. AoE cleanse. Healing. Shields. The other thing you have to keep in mind is that, of course, when you get these characters, that you're going to have to potentially legendary book them, and that becomes a problem. The Incarnate. This was some weird combination with the Arbiter. Increase the champion's accuracy by 20 for each ally under ally protection. When killed, reset the cooldown of the revive skill of Arbiter. There was also some other Arbiters champion receive 20% of the damage of any. I mean, if people use Arbiter by themselves, I don't think that this character is really doing anything much for people. Timid the Fool was a combo with, what was her name? Kaja the Rye, who's actually a good AoE reviver for Bannerlords. But standalone, Timid, True Fear, nothing really stellar. We have Neri the Lucky, a dwarf. Right, looks cool. 1 turn provoke, counterattack on him only. AoE, decrease accuracy and resistance. Stealing buffs. This guy, Verisol the Grim, he kind of looks neat. He has an angry face. Ally protection increased. Very, very basic kind of abilities that we're seeing here with some provokes. Yoshi the Drunkard. Attack and accuracy buff. For everyone, chance of True Fear. Random HP, burn, and decrease accuracy. So I don't know if there. So I pulled this guy actually recently, Skullord Vargal. This guy's really, apparently he's just super amazing for Scarab King, right? But is it worth doing a fusion for this? Probably not. But he has some neat mechanics. He also has a provoke as well. Strengthen buff on all allies. He also revives random lizardmen like every 3 turns, which is pretty neat as well. Decrease attack. Also cannot be resisted if he's being run with another lizardman. So that's kind of cool, right? Like he's got this might be one of the better ones. That being said, I have 4 Kantra the Cyclones. And the irony is you can actually, well, I don't know if it's irony exactly, but you can empower Raphael with Kantra the Cyclone. Anyways, I never really used her, though. I mean, she's got a lot of debuffs, but it's just not guaranteed. And that's my problem. So she's apparently really good in Hydra because the amount of debuffs is crazy. But it's just not guaranteed, like, what she's placing down. That's the only problem that I have with her. So the 2 characters that I do want to point, actually, well, there might be 3. So let's just start with Foli. He's actually a pretty good DPS champion. He actually nukes decently hard. AoE, decrease the target meter, current turn meter by 15%. Enemies killed by this skill cannot be revived, so it is a block revive function. 4 hits at random. This hits decently as well with Leech, and then he applies defense down as well for his A1, which is a 4-hitter. So pretty good for Fire Knight, but also just in general has decent debuffs here. Whenever an enemy places a stun, freeze, sleep, or provoke on this champion, so pretty good for like Ice Golem, right? Because if you're getting freezed, he cleanses that, heals himself, boosts his turn meter, and like if you need to do the block revive, right? If you kill him with this, the adds right on the side, then they won't come back. So that's pretty decent. Also, his numbers aren't terrible either as far as his damage goes. But the rest of these just really aren't that good. But I want to point out, and maybe some of them will get reworked, and that's kind of what I want to talk about here today. Because there's 2 particular champions who got recent reworks, and I'm wondering if maybe any of these other champions on the tier 3 list will as well. And that's something to keep in mind if this happens over the next few months. Bambus Fourleaf, so he got a rework as well, just starting with his passive. Transfers 75% chance of transferring any debuffs placed on an ally to him while they are under a sleep debuff. Will not transfer all of these, of course, and then removes the sleep debuff from him on his turn, right? So that's important as well. Transfer all debuffs from him to the enemy with the highest resistance if a sleep debuff was removed by this champion's passive skill or by an enemy attack, basically woken up. And then, so he's got some pretty good buffs on now a cooldown of 3 because he's reworked, increase accuracy and increase attack, so that's not bad. And then has a chance to place Enfeeble, which doesn't really work on bosses, but still not bad. And a 50% decrease accuracy debuff, which is good, right? So the Enfeeble won't work, but decrease accuracy. Enfeeble debuff cannot be placed on bosses. And then also a decrease attack debuff on bosses as well. So this is a lot of buffing and debuffs. We have increased attack and accuracy. We have decreased accuracy and decreased attack. Then it places a sleep debuff on himself, but he's going to wake himself up. I'm pretty sure that's just how Bambus works. And this is really good for like Hydra, right? And there's still more. You know, he does an AoE attack, and then he places a shield buff on all allies as well, and increases the duration of all buffs by +1. So there's a lot of application, including for Titus, Wixwell shields, and like extending shields and all this stuff, and in general extending buffs. So there's a lot of application for Bambus. He's actually a pretty good champion now. So if only some of the other ones would get a rework like he did. Decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 1, even if the attack lands as a weak hit. This is pretty nice for Hydra if some buffs get through as well. Also increases the value of any shields by 3% for each enemy buff that had its duration decreased by this skill. So yeah, also he's got a speed down. 100% with books of 30% decrease speed for 2 turns. Will attack all enemies instead if the initial target is under 2 or more debuffs. So later on, when you're in PvE, right, especially in Hydra and other places where debuffs are starting to stack up, it's going to be AoE on Hydra, right? So it's going to hit all the heads. That's really good. So this is he's probably, honestly, if you need a solid support character, that Bambus actually now could be very well worth the fusion token if there's a trash fusion, right? Because the best thing that you can do in Raid Shadow Legends is pick yourself up a good support character. The only thing he's missing is probably like speed up, right? Speed up is really powerful, but he's got so many other mechanics in here that are really helpful in a lot of places. So Bambus Fourleaf is the seal of approval for the 1 fusion token. Now the other one that I want to talk about, and this is a little bit different, more debuffy, it's Harvest Jack. So Harvest Jack recently got a rework as well, and I also want to talk about this. Whenever an ally is attacked, has a 50% chance of decreasing the duration of all buffs on the attacker by 1. Whenever this champion is attacked, the chance increases to 100%. So if it's him instead. So with bosses, this is very likely to happen, right? Some bosses have buffs, not many, but definitely like Chimera and Hydra, if they get buffs. Let's talk about the A2, actually, because it has an extra turn mechanic, which I really love. AoE, and then removes all buffs from each target. So this guy's almost like, I wouldn't say he's a Wukong, but like he does kind of like the A3 from Wukong. Removes all buffs from each target. The only thing is he's not stealing it, right? Which Wukong does do. Places a 50% decreased attack debuff and block buffs on all enemies for 2 turns. So immediately, this is great for Hydra. Grants an extra turn as well. So block buffs are very important to Hydra. Attack all enemies, so you would go into this probably. AoE has a 75% chance of placing True Fear, which you can't do on bosses, fine. You can do on Chimera, actually, on Ram form. Also place a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns and decreased target turn meter. You can't do that either on bosses, for the most part. Not all the bosses. Some bosses you can, actually. Like Spider, I guess, and some other ones. Actually, there's just some you can't do, some you can. So the speed debuff is really nice, especially if you're using them in consideration against Hydra. So decreased speed is a very powerful debuff in general, right? Most bosses can be susceptible to this. Has a 75% chance of placing an unresistible sleep debuff. Well, this is probably more relevant to PvP, most likely, because you can't put sleep on most bosses other than Sand Devil, I guess. Maybe for trying to do an actual sleep build for Sand Devil. And then the A1 is a 3-hitter that can steal buffs and then place a fear, which has a 100% chance if they have no active buffs. So this guy is probably not as good as Bambus, but I think he's still pretty solid. Like, if you need these mechanics, if you need a block buffer, he's pretty good. And he does do a speed down as well. Good for PvP, probably now. And he has some really good stuff in here. He's probably, I would say, again, second to Bambus, because I do kind of value support characters more than... I feel like nukers and DPS are more a dime a dozen, that they're easier to find. Solid support champions, not always is the case. Now, I really don't know, and it's a shame. Ishiyama is the only 2025 character on this list of tier 3 champions, but he just really wasn't very good. You know, he was really weird, very niche. Didn't really do anything that I think that was very good. And I heard that his damage numbers, just because HP nukers don't tend to hit as hard, that's the big problem there, right? The best nukers are typically attack and defense based. As far as some of these other goes, like, yeah, I don't know. Some of them actually rely on other characters, but I wouldn't say that they really go above and beyond in terms of what they do versus just being able to do the exact same thing on, say, an epic character, right? There's some good epics that can do very similar things. So these are probably the standouts here, honestly, as the ones that we talked about. Some of them don't even have passives, right? So this is really not worth it. But they could be characters that you might see get buffed in the future, right? It's a shame because there's a lot of characters in this game. You know what? That's not terrible. If only it did all 3 of these things, that would be amazing. But yeah, it's a little bit of a shame here. Places a block debuff, accuracy buff on all turns, turn meter. Okay. Not terrible, actually, but I wouldn't use a token on Great Hoof Loriaka. And then we have Jetney the Giant. Some of these characters look really cool. It's a combo with Alscor, right? And just some of them are just not that great. I mean, that you could just get with epic stuff. So yeah, oh wait, did Cillian? No, I thought for some reason that he got no, wrong character. I thought he got a rework, but no, that's not. I think a lot of characters on this list would be kind of poised to get a rework. We'll have to see how that ends up developing. Obviously, I'm not going to be talking about the tier 2s. I'll leave that for another time when we get closer to being able to do this. But there are a lot better champions in the tier 2 list, obviously. Well, hands down, I could talk about a lot of these characters than the tier 3 characters here. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Again, Bambus Fourleaf, if you need a solid support character, that might be something to consider for April, depending on what the fusion is going to be for that. Now, before we get going, I do want to remind people that if you haven't started playing Raid yet, what are you waiting for? Get out from under that rock. Download using the QR code. Get Thol and Foulbeard, and also get these 3 epics, Stag Knight, Rector Drath, and Farrakhan the Fat. Counts level 10, 20, and 30. And don't forget, you can also get yourself one more Void Legendary Champion by the name of Hanorach. Amazing character. All you got to do is plug in the promo code Desert Queen in the first 48 hours of a brand new account. That's it for me, everyone, and have a great day. I'll see you on the next one. That's what I meant to say. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.